The Colombian Air Force or FAC is the Air Force of the Republic of Colombia. The Colombian Air Force is one of the three institutions of the Armed Forces of Colombia, charged according to the 1991 Constitution of the work to exercise and maintain control of Colombia's airspace to defend the sovereignty, territorial integrity and constitutional order. It is one of the largest American air forces and increased activity due to its important role in the fight against narco-terrorism. Air Force is the only global processes that have accredited with ISO 9001 and NTCGP 1000. The system corresponds to ISO 9001 quality management with the international standard, which inscribed the FAC as a world-class organization. The second certificate, the NTCGP 1000, corresponds to the technical standard of quality of governance, as a result of Act 872 of 2003 requires all public bodies to implement the quality management system by December 2008. The FAC has the distinction of having been used in missions of observation and aerial combat from the Colombian-Peruvian War of 1932. Never elected government was ousted by force, as the FAC helped quell many rebellions from terrorism, military and political. The Colombian Air Force also served with distinction during the Second World War in the islands of San Andrés. Copyright S. History. Creation. Military aviation began in Colombia in 1919 with the creation of a military aviation school for the Colombian Army. Previously by Law 15 of 1916 of September 7 two commissions were sent overseas to study new technological advancements in aviation, infantry, cavalry, engineering and trains. Officers pertaining to the Colombian Army were also sent to take a course on flight training on techniques and tactics. The school was then accredited in Colombia along with the Colombian National Army Aviation as a 5th Regiment by Law 126 of 1919 of December 31 authorized by President of Colombia, Marco Fidel Suárez. The unit was officially activated on February 15, 1921 in Flandes, Department of Tolima with the support of a French mission led by Lieutenant Colonel René Guichard. The aviation school initially had 3 Quadron G3E-2, 3 Quadron G4A2 and 4 Nieuport DLH 11C1. The school was closed due to financial hardships in 1922. The School of Military Aviation was reopened on November 8, 1924 in Madrid, Department of Cundinamarca with the support of a Swiss mission headed by Captain Henry Pillicodi. The aircraft used for training were 4 Wild WT and 8 Wild X, performing the first air review on August 7, 1927. Then on December 28, 1928 the first combat aircraft was shown in Colombia, the Curtiss Falcon 01. War with Peru. On September 1, 1932 civilian Peruvians illegally crossed into Colombian territory and invaded the town of Leticia in the Colombian Amazon, arguing and claiming that the town was original Peruvian territory. The Colombian military aviation only had 11 instructors, 4 Curtiss Wright CW-14 Osprey air combat support planes and 1 Curtiss Falcon 01. The military aviation then received full financial support from the Congress of Colombia. Colombia bought aircraft from Germany and the United States, while others were activated from the airline operating in Colombia SCADTO and their pilots, which included some German citizens. One of these was Major Herbert Boy. The imported aircraft were 4 Junkers F-13, 4 Junkers W-34 and 3 Junkers K-43, 6 Junkers Ju-52, 2 Dornier Merkur II, 4 Dornier War, 20 Curtiss Falcon F-8F and 30 Curtiss Hawk II F-11C. The contingent was then sent to southern Colombia to fight Peruvian forces with the main mission of delivering supplies to the front lines, aerial reconnaissance and air-to-land attacks. The fleet was divided into 3 squadrons with Puerto Boy as the main campsite. Support bases were in Cauqueya Airstrip, El Encanto, Puerto Arica, La Pedrera and Tarapacá. The main combat operations started on February 14, 1933 in Tarapacá, where the Peruvian garrison was bombed by 7 Colombian aircraft and later assaulted by land forces. Later, on March 26, in the village of Guipi 11 Colombian planes and 2 cannon boats bombarded Peruvian positions and took over the town. The last military actions of the conflict with Peru were on May 8, 1933, and in which there was an aerial engagement between the two forces. Peruvian planes were attacking the fluvial fleet of Colombia over the Argoda-cubed North River and were surprised by the Colombian squadron. One of the Peruvian aircraft, a Douglas O-38P, was gunned down and taken to Colombian territory. On May 24, 1933, a ceasefire was declared after an agreement was reached with the intervention of the League of Nations. The town of Leticia was returned to Colombia. The captured plane was then returned to Peru. As a result of the war, 4 pilots died in 4 accidents during non-combat related actions. Among these was one of the German pilots. 4 planes were lost in these accidents: a Falcon 01, an Osprey C-14, a Junker F-13 and a Curtiss F-11. World War II. The Second World War was the diplomatic breach between Colombia and the Axis countries, December 18, 1941, when President Eduardo Santos took the decision following the Japanese attack on military bases, naval and U.S. carriers at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Thereafter, the Colombian government introduced special measures to limit and counter the Axis military action in areas of national jurisdiction. However, the June 23, 1942, a German submarine attacked and sank the schooner Colombian Resolute, 50 miles northwest of the island of San Andrés. Copyright S. The same schooner had rescued submarine officers and 23 British Royal Navy survivors of a capsized ship, 200 miles north of Cartagena just 5 days before. Following these events, the government took the decision to patrol and monitor the Pacific coast and the Colombian Caribbean coast. The Palancaro Air Base commanders decided to move 1 fighter squadron and a combat reconnaissance squadron, consisting of F-8 Falcon aircraft, to Barranquilla. In 1943, the Falcons were relieved of their mission and replaced by the AT-6 Texan. This squadron was active until 1945, when the AT-6 were transferred back to Palancaro Air Base. Early 1930s to present equals. In 1935, the first combat monoplanes made of aluminum were purchased by the Colombian Air Force. Force Seversky P-35 halves PA Guardsman. While the war was ongoing in southern Colombia, the Air Force built bases in the towns of Buenaventura and Cartagena. The base in Buenaventura was dubbed Air Base of the Pacific and covered the area of the Colombian Pacific region by the Pacific Ocean and began operations on January 26, 1933. The main purpose of this base was to protect the Pacific coast from any maritime intervention, since there were reports that the Peruvian protected cruiser BAP Almirante Grau was patrolling the area, as well as 2 submarines. The Buenaventura base closed in 1949 while the base in Cartagena was handed over to the Colombian Navy in 1936, becoming the ARC Bolivar Naval Base, the most important naval base in Colombia. Once the conflict with Peru was over, the bases in the Amazon basin were dismantled and the troops sent to new bases like Dos Esquinas Air Force Base in the Department of Caqueta, Palancaro Air Force Base in the Department of Cundinamarca and San Jose Copyright del Guaviare in the Department of Guaviare. Meanwhile, the School of Military Aviation was moved to Cali, and leaving in Madrid the radio telegraphy and maintenance schools. During World War II, North American T-6 Texans and Boeing .17 Stearmans were received from the USA for pilot training. Soon after World War II, the Aviacia Cubed N Militar became an independent part of the armed forces, and the Colombian Air Force was created. During the period of La Violencia, the Air Force had the necessity to expand its radius of action, so in 1947 the Aerocubedromo Nacional de Apayay was created, named the 17th of November 1948 Base or Copyright Rio de Apayay, today at home of the Commando or Copyright Rio de Combate No. 2. In this period, the Air Force became more involved in counterinsurgency tasks and B-26C invaders were acquired. Also, in 1954, the jet age began for the Colombian Air Force with the arrival of Silver Star T-33 and 6 Canadian Sabre Mark IV F-86. The F-86 were retired from service 1966, while the T-33 continued to operate until 1972 when 18 Mirage 5 fighters arrived in 3 different versions. 16 F-80 Shooting Stars were also delivered. In 1952, Hiller UH-12 helicopters arrived to the country, initially acquired for the Ministry de Obras Públicas, but later assigned to the Air Force. In consequence, in 1954, the first helicopter base was created in Melgar, Tolima. Nowadays this base is known as Base or Copyright Rio Oe Capita N Luis F Gar cubed Mesnia ±0 home of the Commando or Copyright Rio de Combate No. 4 and the Joint Helicopter School of the Armed Forces. In 1959, with the inauguration of the El Dorado International Airport, the Base or Copyright Rio Transporte Militar was created, later renamed as Base or Copyright Rio Oe Brigadier General Camilo Daza home today of the Commando or Copyright Rio de Transporte Militar. In 1962, in order to integrate economically and socially the furthest regions of the country, the Servicio or Copyright Rio Territorios Nacionales SATNA was created. Around 1960 the military transport element expanded, with the acquisition of the C-130 Hercules. Other types incorporated during the 60s were, the UH-1 Huey, T-37 Tweet and T-41 Mescalero. In 1977, to increase control in the northern part of the country, the Grupo or Copyright Rio del Norte was created in Malambo, Atla NTICO, home today of the Commando or Copyright Rio de Combate No. 3. In 1979, the Grupo or Copyright Rio del Caribe was created, to defend the sovereignty of San Andrés Copyrights and Providencia from the pretensions of Nicaragua. In 1983, the Grupo or Copyright Rio de Oriente was created in Mirandilla, Vichada to exert more control of the airspace in the eastern part of the country. Further expansion took place in the 80s with considerable deliveries of the A-37 Dragonfly, which earned fame over Vietnam. At the end of the decade a batch of KFIR-C-2 fighters was delivered from Israel and subsequently upgraded to KFIR-C-7 by the Commando or Copyright Rio de Mantenimiento in Madrid in the 90s. The Mirages were upgraded to the same standard by CAMAN, with the installation of canards and improved fuel systems. Both types are also equipped for air-to-air refueling from the FAC's sole Boeing 707 tanker and transport aircraft. The 90s saw the delivery of specialized coin aircraft like the OV-10A Bronco and Embraer Tucano trainers, some of the latter are able to carry bombs and unguided rockets. These aircraft operate mainly over the east of the country, where the Los Llanos region has a high level of guerrilla activity. They regularly deploy to Puerto Caribe ±0 under the command of the Grupo or Copyright Rio del Oriente formed in 2000. To deal with continuing guerrilla activity, Escuadrones Aerotácticos were formed at the main FAC bases in the late 90s, consisting of several types of helicopters and AC-47 gunships supplied by their respective grupos. Finally in 1990 the base or Copyright Rio Reinegro, Antioquia is activated, center of operations of the UH-60 Black Hawk. Today this base is called Commando or Copyright Rio de Combate No. 5. The 1999 Plan Colombia emphasizes on technology, rather than on large numbers of new aircraft being procured, although several new UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters entered FAC service in recent years. Other recently acquired types include Schweizer SA-2-37A Condors and Cessna 560 Citations equipped with cameras and sensors to monitor guerrilla and narcotic-related activities. Technology upgrades are scheduled for the Bronco fleet, the venerable AC-47 gunships and Huey helicopters. Colombian Air Force monitors airspace and engages suspicious flight, occasionally forcing non-compliant aircraft to the ground. A Hawker 800 carrying 1.2 tons of cocaine was shot to the sea in 2015. Organization: Combat Air Commands, Commando or Copyright Rio de Combate No. 1 CT. Captain Germa Enola Marino Air Base, in Palancaro/Puerto Salga, Cundinamarca Grupo de Combate No. 11, Escuadra Cube Den de Combate 111 Dardos, Escuadra Cube Den de Combate 112 Mirage, Escuadra Cube Den de Combate Arctico 113 Fantasma, Escuadra Cube Den de Combate 116 Tango. Commando or Copyright Rio de Combate No. 2 CT. Luis Fernando Gar cubed Mesnia plus or minus O, in Appiai/Villavicencio, Meta Grupo de Combate NAR 21, Escuadra cubed N de Combate 211 Griefos, Escuadra cubed N de Combate 212 Tucanos, Escuadra cubed N de Combate Arctico 213. Grupo de Combate NAR 22 located in Yopal, Carcener. Escuadra cubed N de Combate 221 Bronco. Commando or copyright Rio de Combate No. 3 MG. Alberto Paules Rodriguez, in Malambo/Barranquilla, Atla NTICO Grupo de Combate 31, Escuadra cubed N de Combate 311 Dragons. Escuadra cubed N de Combate 312 Dracos. Escuadra cubed N de Combate Arctico 313. Commando or copyright Rio de Combate No. 40C. Luis Francisco Pinto Parra, in Melgar, Tolima Grupo de Combate 41, Escuadra cubed N de Combate 411 Rapaz. Escuadra cubed N de Asalto or copyright Rio 412. Escuadrón de Ataque 413 Escorpion. Grupo CSAR. Escuela de Helica cubed Pteras de las Fuerzas Armadas. Escuadra cubed N de Vuelo. Commando or copyright Rio de Combate No. 5 GR. Arturo Lema Posada, in Rio Negro, Antioquia Grupo de Combate 51, Escuadra cubed N de Combate 511, Escuadra cubed N de Operations Especiales 512. Commando or copyright Rio de Combate No. 6 CT. Ernesto Guerra Cubides, in Tres Esquinas, Caqueta Grupo de Combate 61, Escuadra cubed N de Combate 611, Escuadra cubed N de Combate Arctico 613. Transportation and Maintenance, Commando or copyright Rio de Transporte Militar BG. Camilo Daza LVAREZ, in Bogotá DC Grupo de Transporte or copyright Rio 81, Escuadra cubed N de Transporte 811, Escuadrón de Evacuación cubed N Medica. Grupo de Vuelos Especiales 82, Escuadra cubed N de Transporte Especial 821, PA 42-720, PA 42T, RC 690D, RC 695. Commando or copyright Rio de Mantenimiento Mi. Justina Maria plus or minus OQ Esto, in Madrid, Cundinamarca Grupo de Transporte or copyright Rio 91, Escuadra cubed N de Transporte 911. Air Groups, Grupo or copyright Rio del Caribe TC. Benjama en Mar copyright Ndez Rey, on San Andres Island, San Andra copyright S, Providencia y Santa Catalina Escuadra cubed N de Combate 101, Escuadrilla de Combate Arctico 1013. Grupo or copyright Rio del Oriente CR. Luis Arturo Rodriguez Meneses, in Mirandilla, Vicharda Grupo de Combate 111, Escuadrilla de Combate Arctico 1113. Training, Escuela Militar de Aviación cubed N Marco Fidel Suárez, in Santiago de Cali, Vodel Corca Grupo de Educación cubed N Arona Utica, Escuadra cubed N Barcico. Grupo de Combate 71, Escuadra cubed N de Combate Arctico 713. Escuela de Suboficiales FACCT. Andra copyright S. Maria das Arras, in Madrid, Cundinamarca, Instituto Militar Arona Utico CT. Josa copyright Edmundo Sandoval, in Bogotá DC, Airline, Servicio de Aeronavegación cubed N Territorios Nacionales. Personnel, as of 2010, the Air Force fields approximately 13,500 personnel, including 2,171 officers, 3,304 non-commissioned officers, 903 student officers, 4,673 soldiers, these usually allocated to base security, military police etc., and 2,382 civilians, the latter usually dedicated to specialized technical or professional activities, for example medical, communications, etc. Ranks and insignias equals. The tables below display the rank structures and rank insignias for the Colombian Air Force personnel. Aircraft. Current inventory equals. equals former aircraft equals, pervious aircraft operated by the Air Force consisted of the Guerrilla NG-358, and the OV-10A Bronco. Aircraft identification. The aircraft used by the Colombian Air Force are identified with the letters FAC followed by 3 or 4 numbers that are painted on the tail, nose and nose landing gear doors. The serial numbers are assigned according to the aircraft's primary role as follows: 001 Aviacube N Presidential, 002 to 100 Trainer, 101 to 200 Liaison, 201 to 300 Helicopter, 301 to 500 Miscellaneous, 501 to 600 Light Transport, 601 to 700 Transport, 701 to 800 Advanced Trainer, 801 to 900 Fighter Bomber, 901 to 1000 Crew Trainer, 1001 to 1300 Transport, 2001 to 2300 Close Support, 2501 to 2600 Bomber, 3001 to 3100 Fighter, 3101 to 3200 Coin, 4001 to 4600 Helicopter, 5001 to 5600 Liaison, 5701 to 5800 Recon. See also, List of airports in Colombia, Agrupación Cube de Comandos Especiales or Copyright Rios. Notes. References. External links, Air Force bases in Colombia at globalsecurity.org, Spanish, Feritza or Copyright Recolombiana, Spanish, Colombia, Seguridad and Defensa, unofficial site, Spanish, aviacal.net, History of the Colombian Air Force, Spanish, UNFFMM Página no oficial de las Fuerzas Militares de Colombia, Spanish, Combat Aircraft of the FAC, at Salbats,